Hey, Black woman, hey. I am on Google Hangout. It says that I am live, but I don't know if I'm actually live.
Google Hangout.
Okay, I am.
It says that
I'm
I am
live.
live, but
Okay.
I don't know if I'm actually live. Google Hangout.
Okay. All right. I could hear the playback. So yeah, I'm live. Actually, let me do a little bit of work. Bear with me because this is the first time that, not the first time, this is the first Friday that I've actually done it. But
bear with me because this is the first time that, not the first time, this is the first Friday that I've actually done it. But bear with me because this is the first time that, not the first time, this is the first Friday that I've actually, but bear with me.
Trying to figure out.
This is the first time that
I'm trying to figure out how can I see the comments and not have that weird playback. Lord have mercy.
Trying to figure out.
Let me see. Chat.
I'm trying to figure out how can I see the comments.
Oh, I think it'd just be like that. All right. All right. I think I got it. And if I don't got it, then we will aim for a better live stream next Friday. So let me do the intro how I envisioned it. And then we will proceed with Black Woman Friday live streams.
Let me see you go back. Let me see you come forward. Now let me see you go back. Let me see you come forward. Let me see you go back. Let me see you come forward. Let me see you go back. Let me see you come forward.
It's Friday and I'm ready to sing. Pick up my girls and hit the body scene tonight. Oh, it's alright.
So get up and let this party go on. Get you in the mood. Cause you know it's alright.
This DJ says to let them moving. Don't stop moving. Let me see you, no back, forth, back and forth, now back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Now's the time for you to make your move to this floor. So throw your hands in the air.
And with a dollar, you just don't care.
Yeah. It's the LIH, jumping up the stage. I got jazz personality, G mentality, beach to so trash.
DJ goes on moving, don't stop moving. Back, forth, back and forth, now check it. Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Hey, personality, get up on the floor, you see, show your personality, be who you wanna be. Tell me. See, can you feel that groove moving around you? Hey, I wanna keep this party going all night.
Don't stop moving, don't stop moving. Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, back, forth, forth.
Let me see it
Back, forth, forth. So that was the introduction, and I think every Fridays I will be playing that song just to get to the groove because it is Friday and this is a Black woman space. So I think Aaliyah's back and forth really represents what we're trying to establish here. So the topics are empath, womanism, and Black women me first. So with empath, because that was the most recent podcast episode that I released Wednesday, and I centered the conversation around Black women because obviously this is a Black woman space, but I've been seeing a lot online lately that people are categorizing themselves as empaths and they believe that they have this deep understanding of human connection, human emotions, and they're just so in tune and that they can feel other people's feelings without that person actually vocalizing their feelings, and they take on other people's energy. And I believe we as people in general, whether you call yourself an empath or not, can take on other people's energy. Like if I'm pissy today and I'm just in a really bad mood, if you come around me, you will be drawn to my energy. I might piss you off, or I might just come off as a dark cloud, and you will obviously take on that energy. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean definitely you will, but 9 out of 10 times, if I'm gloomy, I'm gonna bring you down. If you're happy and chippy and I'm just kind of like, okay, I might turn around and be happy and chippy too. Like we're humans, we're around each other, we absorb each other's energies, each other's intellect, each other's existence. Like that's just what it's parts of being that's what is a part of being a human. But empaths think that they have this supernatural ability to just feel it just on a deeper level. And I posed a question within the podcast, which is podcast episode 8 of Black Woman Vibes, that are you truly an empath or are you trauma bonding? And I asked the question, are you truly an empath or are you trauma bonding? Because trauma bonding is the act of a person who is a codependent, who is in a relationship or is a toxic relationship. Let's put it out there. A toxic relationship with someone who fits into a cluster B personality. And a cluster B personality is someone who has narcissism, psychopath, sociopath, borderline personality disorders. Long story short, these people need a lot of mental health guidance and therapy and even possible medication that you can't help by just being your hard, loving, carefree, devoted self. Like it's a professional issue that most people don't have the understanding, the grasp, the education, so on and so forth to assist with. And these codependents often feel like their job within this relationship with this person is to take this person's abuse, is to chase that initial, well, he was a good guy when I met him and things kind of went rocky, but I like the person that I knew 5 months ago. So this is just a rough patch. We just need to find a way to get over it. And then you spend the next however months or years of your life trying to go back to a time that never really existed. And you can find more information about narcissism and borderline personality disorder and so on and so forth on YouTube. YouTube has a plethora of information. I'm just giving you a very brief general overview of what is a person with a cluster B personality. And usually these people who are in these codependent relationships end up being so depleted, they end up losing themselves. They end up giving all their emotional labor that just keeps being abused and taken advantage of. So a lot of these people who come out these relationships, they believe that they're empath. They have this deep understanding on the lines of supernatural, to understand cluster B personalities, to understand people who would you would define as a toxic person. And I ask, are you trauma bonding, or do you truly have this insight? Now, there are people who do have special gifts. Everybody has a gift, whether it's you're a magician, whether it's you have a vernacular when it comes to the English language, you are a pretty witty person. Like, everybody has a gift. It is your job on this earth to figure out what that is, tap into that, and be the best version of yourself. I always end anything that I do in a public sphere, and I say, be the best version of yourself by mastering yourself. That's that's what you should be doing here. I mean, obviously, taking care of yourself, making sure, you dot your I's, cross your T's, but you should be mastering yourself. You should be the master of your life, the master of your opportunities, the master of being the best version of yourself. But to go back onto the topic, a lot of these people who come out of these toxic relationships, they feel like they have this supernatural ability to tap into a person emotion. And that may very well be true. But on the flip side, these people talk about the emotions that they're able to tap into with these specific people. It drains them, no different than a codependent who was in a relationship with a narcissist. So, how is it that you have all this supernatural ability to tap into emotions of people, but the emotions that you're tapping into are toxic? You're saying that you're getting your energy resource depleted by an energy vampire. And I'm not trying to question anybody's empath ability. Like, I don't even know how you can diagnose yourself as an empath, but if that's what you believe in, that's what you believe in. But you're an empath and you're drawing in narcissists. Whereas you, as an empath, you're not drawing in other empath. You're not drawing in lighthearted people. You're not drawing in people who match your same energy. You're drawing in toxic people. That's something you as a person need to really sit down and evaluate. Why is that? Why is it that you're drawing these types of people? Now, there is a saying that goes, hurt people hurt people, which is true. But a person who just has a gloomy cloud above their heads don't tend to seek out perky people because they're comfortable in being gloomy. Misery loves company. So a person who is just bitter and mad and angry all the time will find other bitter and mad, angry people, and they can just have a little seance of being angry and mad. Like, that's a thing. But you're telling me that you have this deep emotional understanding, but you're not drawing in other people who reflect reflect your energy. You should tap into that. Why is it that you're drawing these type of people in? And if you do, you'd realize that you have no boundaries. And anybody without boundaries will be picked on, will be preyed upon. It just is. I mean, we as parents teach our children, or the children that we care about, we say, hey, just because someone offers you food doesn't mean that you take it. Someone offers you a ride, you don't take it. If someone says, come with me, I have a unicorn I want to show you, you tell the child, hey, don't believe that person. Don't go with anybody you don't know. And even if you do know that person, if I didn't give you permission to go to someone's house, or I didn't give you permission to walk away with this person, do not do it. And we do that. Why? So we can have our children, or then the children that we care about, have boundaries. Because children are young, children are gullible, children are naive. They don't really know the world. They think everything is good and love and lightheartedness, and they don't understand that there are people who are predators. And we tend to grow into adults and believe that we know it all and that we can't be preyed upon. Now, someone may not have ill intentions like a child predator, but they might have ill intentions where it's like, I want to dump my emotional baggage on you. And I feel as if we're truly friends or I'm in a relationship with you, you owe me that space for me to dump my emotional baggage on you. And you, as a person, empath or not, you need to set the boundaries and say, hey, I am not your emotional baggage carrier. Like, my job is not to handle your bull and put it on my back and just be depleted. Have you ever been around a person who just is just so toxic? Like, their energy brings you down. Just thinking about them makes you be like, ugh, I don't I don't even want to deal. Like, you avoid their conversations, you avoid their phone calls. They say, "Hey, want to go out?" You make an excuse. Like, you just do not want to be around this person. Why? Because their energy's off. And even though you're passively aggressively letting boundaries be established, you're not telling them straight up, like, look, I don't like your energy. I don't want to be around you. You're not someone that reflects what I'm about. And honestly, I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with your energy. I don't want to deal with your toxicity. And I honestly believe that we have outgrown each other's company. That would be like the mature and direct way of saying things. Maybe not in those words, but ultimately the point is clearly presented. But people who identify themselves as empaths don't have boundaries. And that's why you find yourselves seeking, or not even seeking, but being drawn to people with cluster B personalities. You have to have boundaries. It's great to want to help the world. It's great to always be the shoulder to cry on. It's great to always be down. But you need to realize that you cannot give from what you don't have, meaning you can't pour into a person and support a person if they're just taking and depleting, but they're not putting anything back into you. Relationships have to be reciprocal, because if they're not reciprocal, then it's one-sided. And when it's one-sided, the person who is giving is ultimately going to become weaker and permanently damaged. I preach this all the time on my podcast episodes. Whether it's archetypes that are negative, whether it's the muling archetype, the social justice archetype, the sapphire archetype, and I'm specifically talking about Black women, these archetypes and many other archetypes leave us weaker and permanently damaged, and it's no different from being an empath. And I believe a lot of people who categorize themselves as empaths are people who didn't have boundaries, who weren't taught boundaries, whose boundaries were often bulldozered over, whether it was their parents, their friends, their significant others, whether they were the child that the parent needed parenting, like the parent couldn't get it together, whether they were drug addicts, whether they were neglectful, whether they were selfish, whatever the case may be, that child didn't have the opportunity to be a safe and protected child. Their essential existence was to assist the parent in becoming a parent. So that child never got the opportunity to be a child. So they just became and absorbed the role of helping and assisting others and never having learned how to create boundaries, because you need boundaries even as an adult. Like, we as women, we're told, like, hey, you shouldn't go out at a specific time, and hey, you shouldn't be alone. And we have these certain, you could say boundaries, you could say requirements, standards, whatever you want to call them. And a lot of them are sexist. But why are they created? Because we live in a world where we are not safe as women, especially Black women. Black women are raped 60% by the age of 18. Black women are 35 times more likely to be in a domestic violence relationship compared to white women. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to be murdered by our Black male counterpart compared to white women. So statistically speaking, we are preyed upon. There's 64,000 plus Black women who are missing in the United States today, like vanished. That's a whole town. A town of Black women have vanished, and no one knows where they are. And oftentimes, besides their family and loved ones, no one's really searching for them. So I say this to say is that we as women have certain boundaries when it comes to going out because we know the nature of men. We know that if men see us as easy or prey, they will attack. Because whether you want to say it's their biological makeup or whether you want to say it's societal's programming, we know that men tend to prey. And if we look like we're easy, we will be preyed upon. That's no different than other people who want to dump their emotional baggage. Like, I've been there. Like, I'm not preaching and acting like I ain't never been there. I have been there with people, and there's certain people I like them, cool people. But at a certain point, I have to be like, I'll call you when I'm ready, or I need a break from this person. And there's other people I straight up just stop talking to them. And it's not hate, it's not malicious, it's not like I wish them ill. It's more so I need my peace of mind. And my peace of mind is above every and anybody else. I'm gonna be honest with you. No, no guilt about it, no shame about it. If I need my peace of mind, I'm getting my peace of mind. And I'm not going to let anybody disturb that. And you could call it selfish, you can call it insensitive, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but that is my choice. That is my autonomy. That is my agency to say, hey, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with you. And my boundaries are X, Y, and Z. Period. And I have no qualms about it. And a lot of people who've defined themselves as empaths, you need to have the same type of boundaries. After a certain time, don't call me. If I told you this is my opinion about, let's say, a breakup, and you choose to continue this toxic relationship, I don't need your emotional baggage. I told you what it was. You don't have to take my advice. I'm not forcing it upon you. But once I said what I said, I'm moving on. So please do not continue on this pouring of emotional baggage when I already told you I don't want to deal. I told you my opinion. I gave you insight, but I do not wish to continue this draining process because you are okay with it. I'm not okay with you, quote unquote, making jokes at my expense. I don't think that's okay. If you disrespect me, that's it. There's no coming back from you disrespecting me. Period. Regardless of if we're longtime friends, you're my significant other, you're my best friend, I don't tolerate that. Boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Because though there might be some people who don't respect boundaries and they are upset that you have boundaries, there's going to be a lot more other people who are like, you know what? I respect that. You know what? I can't take this bull and put it on her anymore because she's not going to allow that. And it doesn't make you less of an good person. It doesn't make you less of a person who doesn't understand emotion. It doesn't mean that you're cold-hearted. It doesn't mean that you're an introvert, which in my opinion, introverts get a bad name. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you have boundaries like everybody else. Everybody has boundaries. Sometimes after my bank closes on the weekend and I'm like, it should be open, I can't just break into the bank and take whatever money I want and then walk out. That's not how it works. Boundaries. I'll catch them on Monday. Boundaries. I can't go to my favorite restaurant and say, you know what? I want this, make it for me. And me just being happy should be good enough. I'm not paying for nothing. Boundaries. They're going to tell me, ma'am, you got to go or pay. But if you're going to keep on doing this, we're going to call the police. Boundaries. I can't walk up to a man and say, hey, you're going to be my husband. We're going to live a happy and successful life. And we're going to have all these kids. And that's just what it is. Boundaries. He might mace me. What I'm saying is the word of the day boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with having boundaries, and having better boundaries doesn't make you less of an empathetic person. It doesn't make you less of a giving person. It just means that you are not going to subscribe to you sacrificing, you muling, you putting yourself last, and falling into the archetypes that will ultimately make you weaker and permanently damaged. Period. Period. Next topic, womanism. So, the podcast episode that I recorded on Wednesday was about womanism. And like I said on both the podcast episode, Black Feminism, which I recorded last week, Wednesday, and the podcast episode that I recorded this Wednesday, I'm really in this journey about like Black womanhood, what it means to be Black, what it means to be a woman. I'm really getting into Black womanist thoughts of yesteryear. I'm really into Black women putting themselves first. And it has been a journey, baby. Okay. I first started off as like, everything is one, things are a little bit off, but the system is great for everybody. It puts everybody at an advantage. Things might be a little bit off, but it's just parts here and there, but it's not the system in itself. Then I went to a pro-Blacker. Not all the way staunch RBG pro-Blacker, but pro-Blacker in the sense of like, yes, and I agree with that, and yes, that makes sense, and yes, this system is racist, and this is that, and I stand on this, and Black woman, Black man, Black child, blackity, black, 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 black. And then I went to where I am now. And this transformation of sorts, for me, I feel like I'm getting closer to my true purpose. I'm getting closer to my true self. When I was a quote unquote pro-Blacker, there's a lot of things that I did not agree with the rhetoric, especially when it came down to how Black women are treated, how Black women are viewed, the hypocrisies, the misogynoir, the sexism. I couldn't get down with it. Even before, feminist. And feminist in itself was like a dirty, bad word. You're a feminist. And if you're a feminist, you automatically hate men. You're probably a lesbian. And you're probably working for the system to go against Black men. And it was like, nah, bruh. Like, that's not even relatively close to what I'm about and what I'm trying to do. And I just didn't like the worshiping, the intellectual dishonesty, the selective morality, and so on and so forth. I was just like, this right here ain't for me. This is not what I'm about. I can't sit here and act like I don't see the clear distinctions, the lies, the hypocrisy. Like, this ain't for me, Jack. This ain't for me. Then I ended up being interested in feminism, and not the exploitive, capitalistic white woman with their pussy hats while voting for Trump and crying about voting for Trump. Not that. A feminist or feminism that embraces what it means to be a Black woman in all our multifaceted ways, whether you are a lesbian or whether you are straight, whether you want to be a homemaker, whether you want to be a domineering force in the corporate ladder, like whatever you want it to be. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my life, understanding what it means to be a Black woman, the historical context of it, the movements where Black women were in certain spaces, and what it means now to be a Black woman. And it's funny because I used to be one of them women, don't judge me, I was younger back then, don't hold it against me, who was like, oh, I can't even be around women. Like, I don't even have women friends. Like, women are too much drama. I don't even do that. And even in those sentiments, it's just like, dang, like, that's crazy that you are so male identified, that you're so anti-woman, that you don't even see within your own rhetoric how problematic that is. Because you will never find a man who's like, I can never be around men. Like, men are just too toxic. That toxic masculinity, that male fragility, like, nah, that aggressiveness, I can never be around men. I don't want to be around men. I don't want to kick it with men. Like, nah, I'd rather just stay away from men. Never been said. But women will go out their way to be like, I'm not like them. They're bad. They're against men. They're against even black men. Oh no, they're this and they're that, and I'm not like them. The pygmies of the world, the come up chicks of the world. I'm gonna hold him down. I'm gonna be a ride or die. And your whole existence is how to get picked by a man. Meanwhile, a lot of times these women are not happy. A lot of times these women are used for filth. I mean, you have the whole situation where John Gray and his wife, she's skinning and grinning, all pearly white teeth, while her husband got a whole outside baby with some woman, but he's trying to say that he got an emotional affair. An emotional affair don't produce no damn child. But, okay, sir, if she believe it, that's her. I ain't gonna believe it, but it's not my business. When women tap into their womanhood and they tap into that energy, that feminine, that divine feminine energy, women are unstoppable. But specifically when black women step into that, the same force of black women who's the backbone of the community, and she's fearless, and that same stereotype of, oh, she's combative and she's masculine. You like that energy when it's going against the racist system. You like that energy when it's black woman who is assisting and muling and sacrificing for black men. But you don't like that energy when black women are putting themselves first. They're asserting themselves. They're asserting their power. They are putting their worth and they're standing on it. Even with Monique, the whole situation with Monique, I have my own personal views on it, but I don't think she was wrong for saying this is what I'm worth and I'm not taking anything less than. I may not agree how she went about it, but I'm not saying she's wrong for that. But everybody had an issue that Monique, a fat black woman, had the audacity to not only sell the system of Hollywood, F you, but also to say, this is who I am, this is what I deserve, and I'm not taking anything less than. And that goes for you too, Netflix. But when Amy Schumer said, you know what, if Dave Chappelle can get 20 million and Chris Rock can get 20 million, then I believe I should get something around the same range. First, she said she wanted 20 million. People were like, you didn't put as much work. You don't mean to the culture as that as much as they do. And don't you steal your own jokes? Don't you steal other people's jokes and then remix it to your own liking? Then she had to backpedal and say, you know what, maybe not 20 million, but within a high range. And she ended up getting like 11 million, 12 million. And Monique, who's the highest award-winning comedian, she's been in sitcoms, The Parkers, she's been in movies, Fat Girls, and what's that movie I think is tragic? Precious. She was in Precious. Like she's known. She's not, an itty bitty up and comer. But the fact that she asserted herself, it was an issue. Because she's black, unambiguously black, fat, dark skin, and she was loud about it. Now, if this was, and I hate comparing women, but just for the context of this conversation, if it was Beyonce demanding she wanted as much money as, let's say, a Celine Dion, people would be like, yeah, Beyonce, yeah, sure. And it's not because Beyonce doesn't have the talent, because she does. She has put in a lot of work from the 90s, being with Destiny's Child, being a solo artist. She's been in movies like The Pink Panther and so on and so forth. Like, she's put in work. Not The Pink Panther. She was in Austin Powers. She had her own, what's that movie where like the white girl was trying to get with her husband? Obsessed, whatever. So she's been on some things. She's A1. But what I'm trying to say is that if it was a woman like Beyonce who had the aesthetics, people would probably be okay with her demanding her worth. I mean, we would be okay if Beyonce was like, I want to be paid whatever Celine Dion is paid. And I just pull Celine Dion because she's well known. She's a white woman. But people would be okay with that. Why? Because Beyonce's light skinned. She's more palatable. She is fit. And she has this Southern charm, this beauty, this class, even a tint of sexual appeal. And it's digestible to the public. Whereas Monique, she's good when she is in our perception of the boundaries that she should be. She should be okay with what she gets. She's good when she's making us laugh, but other than that, we don't want her, we don't need her, we don't want to see her. Whereas Beyonce can cough, Beyonce can pick her nose, Beyonce can pass gas, and we'll all be like, Beyonce, because we accept Beyonce in the image that she portrays, whether it's herself or this is great marketing, whatever the case may be, we accept that. It's palatable to us. Whereas the image of Monique, she's only palatable when she's in one dimension, and that one dimension is making us laugh. Whereas Beyonce has more flexibility to be whatever, and we will accept it. And this is a deeper conversation, but I'm just giving you just like a brief understanding. And I'm not really sure how I got here. Maybe on the playback, I'll remember how I even got here. But what I was saying about womanism centers Black women to be our authentic selves, to tell our own stories, to write our own history, as well as assert ourselves in this progressive, so-called progressive era, for Black women to demand equal rights, to have autonomy, and to have the same accesses as white men without all that toxicity, homophobia, racism, misogyny, and so on and so forth. And that's what I love about womanism. Black feminism is a branch out of feminism, and feminism itself is not for white women, though Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady, whatever, Stanton was assumed the face of feminism, but they tend to forget women like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, especially Sojourner's famous speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" But even within her speech, and she was talking about women's rights, she's also said, white women still have privilege over me. Like, yes, we both can't vote, and yes, we both can't own property, but she has certain privileges over me. Ain't nobody said I needed to be, walked over mud puddles, and I needed to be helped into carriages. Ain't I a woman? So, yeah, in the context of women's rights, yeah, women should get rights, but you will ultimately turn around and get some rights and still find a way to oppress me. So our plights aren't the same. My plight is I don't want to be lynched. My plight is I don't want to be gang raped. My plight is I don't want to be thrown in prison. I don't want to be terrorized. That's my plight. My plight is I'm trying to build a community with my Black man and have Black children in a safe and healthy community that promotes social mobility and safety. Your plight is that you want your husband to put your name in on that deed. Your plight is that you want your husband to stop looking at you like a mule. But then again, you still look at me as less than. You won't even let me march with you. You won't even let me inside of your organizations, but you want me to spew this white feminist rhetoric that's going to assist you, but you have no interest in assisting me in getting my own liberation. So I can't really rock with you in totality, because though we have the same things in common as being both women, are sex-based issues, but when it comes to race-based issues, the same man who's oppressing you, that's oppressing me, y'all share the same skin color, and y'all probably share the same racist ideology. You don't care. Whereas me, I'm a double minority. I am Black and I am woman. So I got two obstacles where you got one. And Black feminists today, depending on who they are, they tend to straddle the fence between Black women's desires and Black women's activism to center Black women, but they also ride the fence of being honky-dory with white women who really don't get it, who really don't care. And a perfect example of that is the fact that Trump got to be president. The fact that these white women were wearing their pussy hats and screaming, Hillary Clinton and we don't want Trump and my pussy grabs back. And then you turn around at 53% vote for Trump and 40% plus of white women who are college educated voted for Trump speaks a lot. Because you could talk all that feminist rah-rah talk, but you got to go back to your white husbands and your white sons and your white fathers and your white male patriarchs, and you got to align with them. You got to follow through with their beliefs. So you're essentially putting double agents. And Black women during the suffrage movement, which was the original term for a feminist, realized this when it came to the agenda of white women in the 19th Amendment, where yes, women got rights, but it was white women who successfully got what they wanted, whereas Black women were still dealing with race issues. They still weren't able to vote like that because there was discrimination. There was their grandfather policies. There's all these obstacles and lies and terrorism to prevent Black people. But I'm speaking in regards to Black women who weren't allowed to tap into those benefits and those rights, especially Black women in the South. And white women were just like, not my business, not my problem, I'm straight. And we're saying that the same thing with the Trump election. White women were saying all that good stuff and then turn around and drank their kimchi or whatever it was and voted for Trump and then started crying like they don't know. White women have for the longest played double agent, whereas Black women have been running back and forth. Should I be race first? Should I be race solidarity with Black men who will turn around and call me all types of B's and H's and tell me how I'm less than and how they prefer light-skinned women over dark-skinned women or non-Black women? Or should I run and go to the sex-based issues where white women will have the same racist views and only be using me so they can get ahead? Whereas womanism is like, I see both issues on both sides, whether it's Black men or white women, and I'm going to focus and center Black women. And I'm so here for that. I'm so here for Black women centering themselves. And I also talk on my podcast how I love this era of social media, though social media is a trip, a big trip. But what I love about social media, it exposes the mask that we wear on the day-to-day basis. Like, I really know you by searching your social media. Like, yes, people lie. Yes, people perpetrate. Yes, people try to make them seem a lot more socially active and woke and luxurious when really they're not. But people's real thoughts come out. Because when you're in a workplace, you can't say these racist and sexist and homophobic or whatever commentary because we're in a workplace and everybody's trying to cash that check on Friday. But on social media, you can put on any avatar, you can say whatever you want, and you can hide behind this persona. And what I realized on social media, which I kind of saw before, but really getting into social media and really seeing how people think, I'm going to be honest with y'all. The vast majority of Black men don't love Black women. The way Black women will Black Lives Matter, I can't breathe, social justice warring, Ferguson uprising, Black men don't have the same desire, have the same mentality as Black women. That's why when you see these campaigns and you see these movements, you predominantly see Black women's faces. And even if you go into the archives, when it comes to Black Panther Party, the majority of Black Panther Party members were actually Black women. However, it was one Black woman by the name of Elaine Brown who was able to have some type of power, some type of leadership, but it was majority Black men who were in a leadership position, and they were even sexist, and they were discriminatory, and they had anti-lesbian views, and they were even inviting non-Black women to occupy spaces that elevated them above Black women, and it was a plight, and it was a movement for Black people. But then again, you had men like Eldridge Cleaver, who unapologetically told in his book Soul on Ice how much he detested black women, how black women's presence remind him of slavery, white women's presence remind him of freedom, and how he used to practice the method of raping black girls so he can ultimately patent down his raping methods so he can ultimately rape white women. These are the men that you think somehow, some way is going to care about your plight. And not only care about your fight so you can get some type of resources, some type of benefits, some type of rights. And you could say, well, that was back then and times have changed. Yes, time has changed. Like we have Wi-Fi. Yes, time has changed. But the mentality and the pathology runs deep. So with womanism, what I really love about womanism is that it just centers black women. So long, black women have been playing the mule, the assistant, the ride or die. But black women now are like, look, I don't care if I don't get married. I don't care if I don't have children, but I have to censor myself. I need a man with more than love and potential. If you don't have pockets, you don't have an education, I'm not with it. Black women are saying, well, I don't really want to work a traditional 9 to 5 job if it doesn't make me happy. And if I am working a 9 to 5 job and it's not making me happy, I'm going to leave that job because I'm a true millennial. If it don't work for me, it ain't going to work for you, and I am out. And we will see in the next 20, 30 years what comes of this. But for this generation of black women, I wholeheartedly support black women putting themselves first. I'm so wholeheartedly here for black women who are like, oh, girl, you don't need that. Oh, girl, cut him off. Oh, girl, he's not worth your time. I'm here for it because this settling, muling, I'm going to hold his back regardless of what. We even seen on a celebrity platform, on a celebrity level. You have the Jill Scotts of the world. You have the Sherry Shepherds of the world. You have the Mary J. Blige of the world who said, you know what? I chose a man who was not on my level, who was not on my success, who didn't understand or care about what I wanted to do with my career, but I accepted him because, you know, black love and I'm holding him down and all this extra brainwashing. And now he's running me to the cleaners. Like he's taking my money, he's ruining my reputation, he's speaking of me ill, and now I just can't get him out of my hair. And we're seeing the patterns of black women, what they did in the past and how that was not beneficial for us, and how we're doing a better way. We're choosing a better method. And I'm not saying all black women are on the same accord. You will still have the pick-me's. You still have the race first loyal black women, and that's fine. That whatever works for you is what works for you. I can't tell you to do this and to not do that. I'll give you my opinion, but you don't have to take it. But this whole black women centering themselves first, I'm with it. And then you'll have people who will be like, well, you're black and you're just thinking that you can separate your blackness. What I like about womanism and even black feminism, it was never about separating your womanhood from your blackness or your blackness from your womanhood. It was always about the intersectionalities of being black and being woman. There's an actual book that says being, I forgot the title, but it's basically man equals black and woman equals white. And you see that the way black women are digested, the way that black women are spoken about. When you're light skinned or you're a lighter skinned woman, oh, you're light, you're fair, you're beautiful, you're exotic, you know, you're the right type of woman. But when you're dark skinned, you're masculine, you're ugly. I don't know, something about you that's just unfeminine. So black women are constantly working an uphill battle to assert their beauty, assert their womanhood, and trying to redefine what it means to be black and woman. We're just now accepting the fact that there could be Lupitas. There can be very, very dark-skinned women, and that doesn't take away from their beauty. If anything, it enhances their beauty. Because let's be honest, I talked about this on my colorism podcast that I edited, but I haven't released yet. I'll release sometime in the future. In Black spaces, we tend to look at color hierarchies and where you fit into the color spectrum, and we identify that as light skin and dark skin, and then we also identify it by female and male, woman and man. That's why when it comes to light skinned men, they have a real big issue of asserting their manhood, their masculinity, and oftentimes they have to be hyper masculine to overcome the fact that they're light skinned, because a lot of men, particularly Black men, will look at them and be like, oh, you're not man enough, or oh, you're weak, or you're soft because they're light skinned, i.e. reference Drake. However, Black women who are dark skinned are automatically told that they are masculine. And I have not yet to see anything masculine about Lupita. I have yet to see anything masculine about Naomi Campbell. But y'all will say that they're masculine because they're dark skinned. And on the flip side of this psychosis, the lightest skinned man on this planet is a white man. And I have yet to see anybody refer to a white man as feminine. And you can't refer to white men as feminine. With this white patriarchal power, their military weaponry, their economy, and the way they use it to oppress people, they're, if anything, hyper dominating, but they're not seen as weak. If anything, a lot of people pattern themselves after white people, hence colorism, hence racism. And even when it comes to criminal activity, a lot of criminal activity is patterned after white folks. Remember during the 90s, everybody wanted to see Monsters, and they wanted to see Italiano and Lucchini and Goodfellas and Godfellas and all this other stuff, because it was patterned after white men. So I say all this to say is that I'm here for it. I am so here for women, Black women in particular, asserting themselves, centering themselves, going out for benefits that put them on top of the map. And I see nothing wrong with that. Not only do I not see anything wrong with that, that's actually what I promote. That's what I promote on the BlackWomanVibes podcast. It's always about Black women. It's always about the benefit of Black women. It's never not going to be the benefit of Black women, unapologetically. There are spaces that are specifically for other types of women. You will not find me busting into a space that's made for women who are Muslim and say, hey, what about Christian women? What about witchy women? What about Jewish women? It's not my place. It's not my place. You will never see me bust into a trans woman conversation and be like, well, what about biological women? And it's not my place. So this place, the very few places that promote and center Black women, I promote that. I support that. I'm down with that. And I feel no problem with it. I don't feel like it is separatism or any of that. And before I go on to the next topic about Black women centering themselves in this me first society, I also want to talk about, because this is a conversation I was having yesterday, is that women will never be free to be women in their authentic selves until Black women, dark-skinned Black women, are centered as the beauty standard. And I say this to say is that there's no one more crucified and dragged and humiliated than dark-skinned women. And even when non-dark-skinned women, light-skinned women, the Lauren Londons of the world, they can't be their authentic selves because they're held to a certain plateau and a certain standard and a certain box, so to speak. And we're seeing with this colorism hierarchy that even light-skinned women are being pushed aside to the Latinas and the white women, you know, the Yes Julesy of the world. And even light-skinned women are being knocked off their pedestal. And it's always going to continue being that and that and that, because that color hierarchy is never going to stop. It will always get lighter and lighter and lighter. That's why you should never get geeked when a guy tells you like, oh, you pretty for dark skin, or get geeked when they say, you know, you not too dark, you caramel, you red bone, you yellow bone, oh, you mix. I like your hair grade. I like that you light skin. You should never get geeked off of that, because there will always be someone lighter than you, and the goalpost of beauty will always shift to whatever is in demand, whatever is deemed beautiful. So until Black women, dark-skinned Black women, can be centered as beautiful, it will never break free. And I'll even argue not only just dark-skinned Black women, but dark-skinned Black women with African phenotypes and short hair. Because if dark-skinned women with African phenotypes and short hair can be seen as beautiful, then short women can be seen as beautiful. Fat women can be seen as beautiful. Women who dye their hair, and I'm talking about like purple and turquoise, can be seen as beautiful. Women who have vitiligo can be seen as beautiful. It defines every and anything can be deemed as beautiful. Again, because we live in this racist and sexist and colorist society that negates Black women and puts dark-skinned Black women at the very bottom. If you can center dark-skinned women with their dark skin and their kinky hair and their full lips and their wide nose, if you can center that and see that as beautiful, it frees other women from these confines. It frees you. You can be whatever you want to be. You could be a blonde. You could be a purple. You could be tall. You could be short. You could be fat. You could be whatever, because it frees you. It alleviates that pressure of fitting into the mold and fitting into the male gaze, chasing the male gaze, and the goalpost always changes. The only thing that makes a man more attractive is his wallet. If he has more money, automatically he becomes attractive. But a woman, to be more attractive, you got to be this, you got to be that, and you got to be this, and you got to be that. And we're just talking about the American society. We're not even talking about other cultures. Like in certain cultures, a woman who's overweight is deemed as beautiful because in her culture, she's deemed as wealthy because she can eat. But if we take it to other cultures, they deem a woman who's thin as beautiful, because thin, it shows health and it shows that you care about your weight. And if you go to other cultures, being thin is a sign of preference, because there's this like preserving beauty, preserving the apex of what it means to be a woman. This means tall, thin, no extra body hair, just hair on your eyebrows and your eyelashes and on your scalp. This weird Peter Pan syndrome / borderline pedophilia thing where you're never supposed to grow up. You're never supposed to hit puberty. You're never supposed to have pubic hair. You're just supposed to be stuck in this box of prepubescent, but you're supposed to look like a woman, but have the body of a child. And we can go into this in further details, perhaps later. But what I am saying is that when you center dark-skinned Black women as beautiful, all these other obstacles and traps of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a beautiful woman, melts. Because if what you viewed previously as the bottom of the bottom can be deemed as beautiful, in all her dark skinness, in all her kinky hair, and all her wide nose, and all of what makes her her, and she can be deemed as beautiful, then everybody else can be deemed as beautiful. And not only beautiful, it breaks the shackles of trying to chase the male gaze. It breaks the shackles of trying to chase the male gaze. And not only just Black women, women in general. You don't have to be tan if you're pasty. And you don't have to be pasty if you're tan. You don't have to be a blonde if you're a brunette. Blondes and brunettes both can have fun. Like, it just breaks the chasing the male gaze. It breaks the standards, the complexes, the fitting into boxes and molds. It breaks all of that. But are women willing to break that? No, because there's a lot of women who still chase the male gaze. A lot of women who live to be idolized. I mean, we do have Instagram for a reason. Oh, I only got 1,000 likes. Yesterday, I got 12,000 likes. I'm deleting this picture. Or I'm taking a more risque picture. Or maybe I need a nose job. Maybe I need a butt job. You got Black women out here dying in back alleys, getting flicks of flat junk, bad grade silicone up their butts because, again, chasing the male gaze. And what I love about womanism is we're not chasing the male gaze. And I don't know if yet now I define myself as a womanist. I've always been well, let me say not that. Recently, when I got into my 20s, I've been pro woman, specifically Black women. So yes, I'm always going to be pro Black woman. Whatever I define myself, I'll always be pro Black woman, like unapologetically. I don't know if just yet I define myself as a womanist, but I love the fact that it centers Black women into the conversation and not as the muse, not as the assistants, not as the helpmate, not as not as the sacrifice. No, just as deserving, desired, um, loved, supported, watered, nurtured, loved as any other group of people, any other group of women, any group of anything. And I'm here for it. So that is my views and opinions on womanism and Black women centering themselves in this me first society. Like I mentioned, like we're in a technological era right now. Like we got technology literally at the tips of our fingers. We got iPads, we got MacBooks, we got iPhones, we got Apple Watches, we got everything and then some. A lot of it is just a way to fuel capitalism. Like you really don't need all that stuff. But the point is we have access to it and it's available. Now, we also live in a me first society, meaning that we don't do things just to do things. We do things with the specific intent for us to win. We do things with the specific intent for us to be seen. It's a me first society. Hence why we will do the Photoshop and we will stuff the bras and we will get back alley butt shots. We will do whatever we feel is necessary to put ourselves first, to get the best seat in the house, to get the best opportunity. I mean, you have the situation where Becky for Full House was out here paying $500,000 for her two daughters to get into an Ivy League school that they are not deserving of, that they didn't have the brains to get into, and that they didn't even want to do. But because she didn't deal with her issues, the fact that she feels inadequate, that she became an actress and not a college grad, she forced her children to go into college, and they didn't want to do it. And now she's about to eat a prison sentence because the feds did knock on her door, and that all could have been avoided. But again, we live in a me first society. So she had the opportunity, she had the money, she had the pull, she used her resources to get what she felt like it was deserving to her. Why? Because she had it. Not because she earned it, but because she had it. Not a lot of people have $500,000. And definitely not a lot of people have $500,000 to squander on stealing two Ivy League spots for their less than stellar children. So Black women in this society are starting, not all Black women, I would say this is a minority of Black women, are starting to understand that this is not a fair world. It is not a fair world. Not just, try your best and, have great intent and put your best foot forward does not guarantee you a seat at the table. It doesn't even guarantee you an invite to the home. It doesn't even guarantee you access code into the gated community. It does not guarantee you not a thing. It's best that you make the connections to where you want to get to. But even that doesn't guarantee you a surefire way of getting where you want to get to. So in this me first society, Black women playing those tropes, those archetypes that I talk about, where you are sacrificing, where you're muling, where you're putting other people first, whether it's Black men, whether it's white women, whether it's gays, whether it's whatever. It is not in the best interest of Black women to play these roles, because first you will be demonized and then you will be exalted. But it's not going to be you that gets exalted. It's going to be the people who look like you or the people who benefit from it. For example, you had Asatta Shakur. Brief history of Asatta Shakur. She was in the Black Panther Party. She was falsely accused. Well, some people believe falsely accused of murdering a cop. So she ended up going to prison. She found a way to not only break free from prison, but end up going to Cuba and finding safe haven in Cuba. So the United States, especially under Obama, still said they had a bounty for Asatta Shakur. They're still looking for Asatta Shakur. Like, they're trying to find her, bring her back to the United States, obviously to re-arrest her and put her in prison for what they say that she killed a cop. But not only that, for all the years that she evaded being captured. But her legacy, to some, is still being slandered, but to others is exalted. The Black Panther Party at the time was seen as a terrorist group, no different than the Klan. However, with time, people see it in a different way of light. And some people see them more so as somewhat of a Robin Hood, somewhat of a justice movement, a progressive movement. But Asatta Shakur does not have the same agency or the same opportunity to be seen in that rebranding of what the Black Panther Party is. Because if she was captured tomorrow, she would not be seen as, she was just a rebel in a cause and she meant well, and look at all the things that she has given to social activism. No, she'd be thrown in a slammer. And that's what I'm saying with Black women. Black Lives Matter, depending on how you view it, at first, it was starting to gain the momentum of being a terrorist organization. It was starting to gain the momentum of being a distraction. Now with, politicians speaking on Black Lives Matter, celebrities speaking on Black Lives Matter, and then this whole woke economy where people are able to make money off of it. They're able to turn wokeness into a thing, a materialistic thing. Black Lives Matter is seen as some type of, vigilante of sorts. But the founders of Black Lives Matter, which was 3 Black lesbians, they don't get the accomplishments. They don't get the praises. They don't get the, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to be eating off of this woke economy. No, it's the ones with the nice t-shirts. It's the one with the nice speeches. It's the politicians. It's the celebrities. It's those who are able to benefit off of this woke economy. But the Black women who actually started and who actually said Black Lives Matter, they don't benefit. We barely even know their names. That goes to show you. No different than the Black Panther Party. The majority of members were Black women. We only know Elaine Brown, Kathleen Cleaver, Angela Davis, the light-skinned women who were propped in the media, the dark-skinned women who were in the back cooking and cleaning, getting beat, getting raped, being told to birth for the cause. We don't know who they are. Not only do we not know who they are, we're not even looking to find out what's their side of the story. Truth be told, we don't care. As a society, as a whole, we don't care. So in this me first world, I'm here for womanism. I'm here for Black women doing the work and doing social advocacy and activism that centers Black women. But I'm not here at it at the detriment of Black women sacrificing themselves. I don't want any Black woman who is participating in these social justice movements to risk their reputation, risk their peace of mind, risk getting felonies, risk going to prison. Still to this day, my heart aches knowing that Chandra Bland died the way that she did. My heart aches for Corinne Gaines, who died the way she did. My heart aches for Erica Gardner, who died the way she did. Because we do live in a me first society, and all this muling and sacrificing ultimately leaves Black women weaker and permanently damaged. You can't bounce back from murder. You can't bounce back from death. In certain illnesses, you can't bounce back from. And oftentimes Black women have absorbed this space where it's like, you know what? I'll just be the mule. Like, I'll just be happy being the footnote. I'm just be happy with being, known as, if it wasn't for If it wasn't for this black woman, this wouldn't happen. But because of this black woman, we're able to have policies. We're able. I mean, look at Henrietta Lacks. We know more about stem cell research and cancer and so on and so forth just by her DNA. And she didn't even have autonomy to be like, yeah, you can use my DNA. She didn't have no say so. They took it, they used it. She died and they used it. And the pharmaceutical companies making millions, if not billions, off of the innovations and the research off of her DNA. Literally. It's not enough that black women birthed this country, breastfed this country, died for this country. But now they're digging up in our DNA and finding a way to profit off of that. And I say all of that to say is that, yes, I want black women to censor themselves in this world, but not at the detriment to our mental health, to our physical health, to anything. I don't want black women sacrificing to the death of them. Period. And not only for other groups of people, but even for black women and girls. I don't want black women sacrificing even themselves for other black women and girls. Because Monique even told you she was being blackballed by other black people. Yes, it was Hollywood society that was looking at Monique and writing her off, but it was Oprah. It was Lee Daniels. It was Tyler Perry, other black people. And to a certain degree, Steve Harvey, who was just looking at her like, girl, get a grip, get over it. You doing too much. Get with the winning team, as Daniel Caesar said, get with the winning team. And if I wanted to dead this, but other things would come into my mind. The reason why, on top of Monique me being black, woman, dark skin, and fat, is the fact that she didn't have social capital. And social capital is a legitimate thing. That's why there's such a thing as an influencer. A certain somebody puts on a certain piece of clothing. That designer or whoever owns that piece will be making a whole lot of money. It's called influencer for a reason. You influence with your presence, with your catchphrases, with your fan base. You are an influencer. And though Monique had all the accolades, all the rewards, she's been in media for 20 plus years, the reason why people didn't look at Monique saying that she deserves more, like Amy Schumer, because Amy Schumer was recently in movies, recently doing comedy sketches, and with not comedy sketches, but comedy, on stage. Monique hasn't had that visibility. And let's be honest, Monique is not on the same social capital level as an Amy Schumer. So yes, it was easy to be like, oh, Amy Schumer, she's a hot name, she's buzzing. Okay, 11 mil. On top of the fact that she's white and she's woman, so we want to appeal to the feminists. We back women. We're down for women. Yeah, 11, 12 mil, no problem. Monique, though she has the rewards, though she has the cultural influence, because she has left her print on culture. I mean, Monique was the same chick who was like, I don't trust skinny bees. That was Monique. Fat girls was Monique. Monique was putting on the mat not only black women, not only fat women, but also promoting that and saying there's nothing wrong with being fat and black and woman. So she didn't have the social capital. And that's why it was easy to dismiss her. Not only was she not palatable in image, but also she didn't have the social capital. So when Monique said boycott Netflix, people were like, yeah, all right. Who are you, Monique? But if Beyonce was like, all right, Monique, I'm going to retweet that and caption it. All right, you heard Miss Monique, we boycott. And people be like, well, Queen Beyonce said to boycott. We going to boycott. We ain't going to watch Netflix. No, F Netflix. We going to go to Hulu. We would have done it. Beyonce has more social capital. Period. I mean, look at it this way. When Beyonce had her first daughter, Blue Ivy, I think some BET hosts made jokes about Beyonce's child or said something about her child's hair. And you ain't seen them host host BET no mo, and you also have not seen those hosts host anything else outside of their brief time at BET. That's not a coincidence. That's social capital. And that's influence. And unfortunately, Monique over the years lost some of that, or she didn't keep up with the times. And when she said what she said, people looked at her like she doesn't deserve it. And with Black women in this me first society, not only do I want Black women to center themselves, but to also understand that social capital means a lot. Not being as the muse, as the sacrifice, the pick me and all that archetypes that I greatly advocate against, but also understanding that you should build a platform. You should have a core base. You should have people who ride for you, and not that ride or die toxic stuff. That this is who I'm championing. This is who I believe in. When Obama said, yes, we can, a whole group of people said, yes, we can. They chanted that like it was a mantra. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Like it was a seance of sorts. Yes, we can. That became a catchphrase because people believed in that phrase and they believed in Obama, and that phrase became synonymous with Obama and what Obama represents. Black women need to establish themselves in the same way. We need to establish ourselves in a view that we all, or most of us, can agree with. And I, for one, am not down with the muling. I, for one, am not down with the sacrificing. I, for one, am not down with the putting yourself last. I'm not here for it. This is a me first society. People will be cutthroat and deny your children a seat at an Ivy League school because they haven't dealt with their issues of being less educated. Yes, they have all the money in the world, but for some reason they feel inadequate, that they were willing and able to break laws, federal laws, to snatch seats at an Ivy League school. They're not playing by fair. It's a me first society. And because they had the resources, they had the connections, they had the money, they had no problem doing what they felt that they needed to do. Understand that. This is a me first society. It's a me first world. And no one's going to look at Black women's morality. And this is where Black women fall short. No one cares about morality. Morality is very fickle. Very fickle. No one cares about morality. People have selective morality, if anything. I may not like gays today, but if, I don't know, Beyoncé had a whole, I keep on saying Beyonce, I don't know, but for whatever reason, she's just in my mind today. Beyonce has a whole choreograph dancers who are all feminine Black men who are gay. All of a sudden, I like gays. I like gays. Beyonce like gays. I like gays. We all like gays. But once the routine dies down, it stops going viral, and we go back to the regular schmegler day, I'm going to say, nah, I don't like gays. Morality is very fickle. Hence why people be like, I'm not racist, but I still voted for Trump, though. It's not because he's white. It's not because you think he's racist. It's because he's good for the country. He's really here for the people. A man who says he's a billionaire is really good for the people because he really understands that average American. But you're going to tell me it's not because of racism. People have selective morality all the time. That's why your parents, when growing up, they said, do what I say, not what I do. Because oftentimes we are conflicted, and oftentimes we are hypocrites ourselves. We don't do what we say. We lie to ourselves. It helps us validate the fact that we have selective morality. Let's be honest. So if you're going into this world thinking that you're going to play this game where, I just want to be good and I just want to, be different and not put myself first and be equal and all this other stuff, good luck with you. But you will always find yourself at the bottom. Now, I'm not saying you need a scheme. I'm not saying that you need to practice sexism and misogynoir and you need to do all this. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that if there's an opportunity, grab it by the throat and run with it. Period. Period. If you can prioritize yourself and you could put yourself first and you could get your agendas pushed across, you take that opportunity. Period. Run with it. Fly with it. Jump with it. Whatever the case may be, take it. Take it. Because no one else is saying, oh, I don't know if I should take it. I don't want to. No, they take it unapologetically. Even if it's illegal, they still take it. So, like I said, with this Me First society, we have influencers, we have technology, people are lying and scheming and doing things what they need to do to get into where they need to get into. People will have ghostwriters. People will have people who make speeches for them. People will have a whole photoshopped identity. People will catfish. People do whatever they feel is necessary to get to where they need to get to. So playing this morality game in a world without morality will always have Black women losing. Put yourself first, put your best interest first, and be unapologetic about it. Period. So that is what I have to say. I hope y'all enjoy this. I hope this really recorded like it was supposed to. I hope everything is clear on the playback. And I will catch y'all next Friday. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you would like to discuss on the next Friday, Black Woman Friday live streams, let me know. And of course, I did not introduce myself because I'm just rude like that. I am your hostess with the mostest. So let's get to toasting VCNA. And I am about to log off, but what I will end this live stream with is, isn't it time for Black women to live and live well? I'll be back next Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern to do another Black Woman Friday live streams from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. Be the best version of yourself by mastering yourself. And you can find me on Facebook, Black Woman Vibes, Instagram, Black Woman Vibes, Twitter, Black Woman Vibes, and of course, YouTube, Black Woman Vibes. If you want consultation services, email advisor services, speaking engagements, and private live streams, you can contact me via my social media platforms and DMs. I only respond to those who want to have certain topics on the live streams or certain topics that they would love to see turn into a podcast. I'm also open to that. Or if you want to be a guest on the podcast, Black Woman Vibes, I'm also open to that. But anything outside of that, I am not open to. So please don't jump into DMs because I will ignore and I will block and I will delete. Okay? So, with all that being said, be blessed, be enlightened, be loved. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. Stay blessed. I'm out. Peace.